Hiley. My name is Beth Hiley here for Board Game Geek at In Essen Spiel 2012. I'm sitting with my very good friend Phil Eklund of Sierra Madre Games.
Hello, Beth.
Hello, good morning.
Guten Morgen.
Guten Morgen. Yeah, we are here on the first interview of day 2. And Phil has brought me this fabulous present on loan.
It's your...
Yeah, I have to give it back so he can have it back at his booth. But at least for the 2 minutes until my head gets tired, I am totally rocking the hat.
I see. That's because today we're going to Mexico.
Oh, excellent. And we're going to Mexico to play.
Yeah. Pax Porfiriana. This is a specific pivotal period in Mexican history that defined how Mexico would enter the 20th century and what kind of nation it was going to be. And
before you begin, just tell me, before we started rolling, you were telling me that this is actually co-designed with...
Oh, well, there's 3 authors of this game. Myself, Matthew, my son, the new father.
New dad, yay Matthew.
And also Jim Goot, a longtime partner and supporter of Sierra Madre Games, and the original game that this is based on, which is now 30 years old, wow. Lords of the Sierra Madre. So yes, this collaborative effort to get this card version out. Excellent.
All right, let's walk me through.
Okay, so as I said, this is a period in Mexican history where defined what was going to happen, and it's important for various reasons. The players attempt to, as movers and shakers in Mexico, rich landowners called hacendados, they attempt to topple the dictator who's been in power for 30 years. And his name is Don Porfirio Diaz.
Here, can I borrow the box actually?
Yeah,
so we'll
here
just
we
keep
are.
That right there where everybody can see it.
Yes. So I've got a few images.
De-hat myself for a moment.
Yeah.
All right, there's our box top.
So this dictator's been in power for...
Sorry, we are reversed. There we go, dictator.
For 30 years, and the aim of the players is to topple him and become the new dictator. This is the idea. And I don't know, last time we were talking about dinosaurs and things, this seems a little bit trite maybe for one doddering old dictator to topple compared to the sweep of many of my other games. But this is somewhat significant, not only because it's got parallels to modern times. I go into a lot of detail about the relationship between business and state. That's what's the most carefully researched about this, and how that was defined in this period. And also things like the Panic of 1907 and how that correlates to the Panic 101 years later of 2008 and the like. But the most is just how Mexico is going to become a nation. It comes from medieval Mexico, where feudalistic Mexico, the earlier game was Lords of the Sierra Madre, and the Lords part, you can think of a medieval lord and his serfs coming out to battle when the outsiders attack the Indians or whatever. And that image was still real in 1898 when this game begins.
Okay.
And so the players are going to try to topple them, and there's 4 ways to win the game. And there's also, these correspond to the 4 possible futures of Mexico. And I use these cards here.
All right, here we'll just lay
these are regime cards. And there's 4 possible regimes that this area of Mexico can be in. The first is Pax Porfiriana itself, and this is Latin. It means the peace of Don Porfirio Diaz. This is the name of the dictator. And during his 30-year reign, things were very stable, but rather, Machiavellian and stagnant comes to mind. There was a lot of bribery. This is Mexico and the like. And so the first future is that you can toady up. The players, as hacendados, can toady up to the dictator and get him to retire and name you his successor.
Right.
So that's the first future. It's a status quo. It's a neo-Porfiriana with you in control. And that's one possible future of Mexico. In actuality, this was assumed by Don Ramon Corral, the chief slaveholder of Sonora, because during this period, 20th century, still the Yaqui Indians were enslaved legally. And so you can sort of imagine what Mexico might have been like under Ramon Corral, the evil slave master. I mean, his associate had actual the rack and other torture devices in his hacienda for misbehaving slaves, or slaves that had the audacity to run away. Where I live in Tucson, where my son now lives in Tucson, I live now in Germany, there's a Indian reservation of escaped slaves, a Yaqui Indian reservation. So that's the first future. The second future, a very real threat that everyone in Mexico felt, was U.S. intervention. You can imagine that in 1898, U.S. had just conquered Spain and annexed Hawaii and Philippines and practically Cuba. The threat of annexing all of Mexico is very real. And this can happen in this game too, that Mexico becomes, I don't know, the 48th, 49th state or whatever.
Right.
I think it would be the 48th state in 1898,
so.
yeah.
And then it looks like our last two here, we have anarchy and martial law.
Yeah.
Which speak for themselves.
Yeah, anarchy, right, during this period, the chief philosophers was Kropotkin, the Russian anarchist. And there was, during the revolution of 1910, there were a lot of communes and ejidos and other ideas from anarchist thought set up. And martial law is like civil war. If a powerful governor, a landowner, declares independence from the rest of Mexico, which happened in both Sonora and Chihuahua, where the game takes place, independent of Mexico City, they can set up their own country. And Sonora under Corral and Benjamin Hill, and Chihuahua under Carranza and Orozco set up their own countries who were against each other. They were separated by the Sierra Madre, and they couldn't really interface very well unless there's a railroad bit between, which you can do in the game. But those are possible futures, and in some regards, all of them happened. I mean, the U.S. intervention, they occupied Chihuahua and Veracruz under Wilson and the like. And the players can always invoke Teddy Roosevelt if they want to win by a U.S. intervention. Big Stick Roosevelt, there's no doubt. I mean, because he left no doubt. He said, had the Mexican Revolution occurred during his presidency, he would have occupied it in a heartbeat.
Right. All right, so why don't you give me about a 5-minute walkthrough of a turn?
5-minute walkthrough from a turn.
Sorry,
no, you're not sorry, not sorry enough. Well, so the first mechanism that's important is a market. We've got, this is set up like it is in Bios Megafauna. You've got 12 cards for sale, and the price of each one depends on where it is in the market. These being the most expensive and these being free. So during your turn, you do 3 actions, and one of them...
Put that right in the middle there.
Yeah. During your turn, you can choose 3 of 9 actions to perform. And one of them is to buy a card, which goes into your hand.
I'm guessing these tokens are just your money.
Yeah, these are monetary, these are gold. And this one, for instance, cost 1 gold because of its position in the market. This is a German gun store. Most of the arms of the Mexico at this time came from Deutschland or from gun stores in America. And so another thing you can do, which has already been done for me here, is to play some of your enterprises out. This is a mine in Sonora. It looks like another player has actually built the railroad to this mine. So he's built a chain railroad. That makes him a rail baron. And these are cubes represent income, in gold per turn. So I, as player red, only get 1 income, black who's got his troops in here to blackmail me, basically, or they're protecting my... Protecting. It's a protection racket. He's earning 2, and the builder of the railroad's earning 1. So each one of these earns 1 gold during your income phase. That's the take income part of the turn. So those are some of the basic mechanisms, but these cards not only build enterprises or establish troops, they also do dirty dealings. You can do G-men, for instance. This is the start of a lot of these U.S. agencies got their start because of trouble along the Mexican border, the Mexican Revolution. U.S. Attorney, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, agencies we take for granted today all got their start because of the revolution. There's another famous American interventionist, the Pinkertons, We Never Sleep. Also important is the Sherman Act. These black and orange cards are dirty dealings that you can do against other players. And you can accumulate, like this player has accumulated, somebody's played the Calvo Doctrine against Bernardo Reyes. So he's gained an outrage for that. This point allows him to possibly win under U.S. intervention because he's outraged as the victim. There's injustice going on. He can use that to call in Teddy Roosevelt and all his legions. So, and you also have revolution points. I've already accumulated. This is a corrupt union boss here who gives you a revolution point. It costs 6 gold to play him, and he gives you a monopoly on certain industries here. So you can also get command points, because another way to win the game is to shoot the president in a coup and take over himself. So that's sort of the play of the game. We go around, everyone does their 3 actions, takes their income, the next one does their 3 actions, choosing from the market or playing cards. There's police action to get rid of unrest that can occur on your enterprise. You can move troops there, or your opponent can move troops there. You can purchase a topple card, which initiates an attempt to win the game. Okay. So that's the basic play of the game.
Now, your games are rather famously, or sometimes notoriously known for being rather epically long. How long would a typical game of this take you?
This should take 2 hours. It's not too bad.
That's downright speedy
and we,
for you.
Yeah, for me. Thank you, Beth. I needed that. Anyway, if you got players who know what they're doing, you can probably get it done in an hour and a half. We get it done in an hour and a half, really.
And how many does this play?
It goes up to 5 players, and I'm sorry, 4 players, and God, I can't remember now. It's 5 players. There's the solitaire versions included in the game, so it can go 1 through 5. And actually, I have 6 starting hacendados, so it could go up to 6 if you provide a few extra cubes.
Which should be pretty easy.
Yeah. If you've got 15 cubes of a specific color, you can get this to 6 pretty easily. So.
Make your do-it-yourself 6 player.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Now, is this being for sale here at Essen?
Yes, it is for sale at Essen. It's where I'm selling 25 euros here.
And then
it's also on my website at www.sierramadregames.com. You can also buy this. I have a German shop too, sierramadregames.de, and or a US shop.com.
Now, for US sales, is it only going to be available through your webpage, or will it be?
No, I should have this. They don't have it yet, but I should be able to go through PSI and through some of my favorite retailers and distributors. So if you like, if you've got a favorite one, hopefully demand that they include this newest Sierra Madre games, and really the one that got me started in gaming 30 years ago. Lords of the Sierra Madre was, the first version was 1980s. And,
so in a way, this is sort of a 30-year bookend.
Yeah. And my son, who designed this game, he had a winning streak in Lords of the Sierra Madre that was, I think it was 60 games over a period of 10 years.
Wow.
he was only 6 when he started playing this. He became an expert in it.
I was going to say,
and he designed lots of these. So I also wanted to mention just a few. I love anecdotes and just a few of my favorite cards, if I have time, for such foolishness.
Yes, we have about 2 or 3 minutes more. We can definitely.
All right.
Because that's the sort of flavor we love to get.
Yeah, well, here's one that's
Actually,
my favorite.
We are towards you. Yeah, I was wrong.
Okay, so this is Manuel Mondragon. He looks like a professor in front of his blackboard here. And this looks like a very tame card. But Mondragon, he invented the automatic rifle and rapid fire 75 millimeter.
At the bottom of the card there.
Yeah. So this is his automatic rifle. But you can see this calculus equation right here is calculating how he can become the next president. Oh. Now he's located right here on the blackboard, and 1 kilometer away is the president in the Palacio Nacional. The date on here is February 16th, 1913. This was during the Decena Tragica, the tragic 10 days of Mexico. He's supposed to be the evil general, Porfiriana. They're supposed to be fighting. He's supposed to be protecting, the general is supposed to be protecting the president from him. But actually they're in collusion here, and he's calculating the artillery barrage that will destroy the president so they can take over, which they proceeded to do, with enormous loss of life in the mock battles in Mexico City between the two. So this is not an innocent a card as it looks here. This is a Machiavellian moment.
So. Now, one final question before you. How much historical research do you do in preparation for a game? Because I'm looking at the artwork, the flavor text, just the fact that the whole story behind that card.
Well, I love history. I've lived in this area. I'm from Tucson. I've lived in this area for a long time. I've visited most of these places. I lived with the Tarahumara Indians for like a week and a half, and they compared my mustaches to Pancho Villa and the like. So, yeah, I've talked to a lot of the relatives, the ancestors, descendants of these characters. A lot of these families that got their start during the Revolution.
Wow.
Some of them are famous in Arizona, the Goldwaters and the Ronstadts, like singer Linda Ronstadt and Barry Goldwater, got their start from dealings and arms dealings and the like with the Mexican Revolution of 1910. So yeah, I have a lot of personal stake in this particular one.
I feel as though we could do a whole interview and just talk about the history of this time period. So, but wait, before I let you go, I got to recap myself.
Oh, you look so revolutionary.
Thank you. Viva la Sierra Madre Games. And thank you so much for stopping by and letting me borrow your hat. Thanks, Phil.
Okay. All right.